Hello and welcome to another video. Today's video I'm showing you how to do this design of a card but using the sweet ice cream bundle. So this one is using the sweet strawberry and I thought let's keep it sweet and let's switch it up a little bit. So I used the bundle here where I used the the Strawberry Builder punch as well as the paper that comes when you get a $100 order put in. It actually comes with a free stamp set as well. That stamp set here is called Berry Blessings and that comes with the paper. But I didn't want to, I think that this one here, You Always Have a Way of Making My Day, would have fit really lovely inside, but I needed to build up some of my birthday cards. So I thought, nope, let's use this. So I'm using a couple of things. I'm using two different punches. I'm using that paper, but really it's a surprisingly simple card. I did use a sponge to sponge on a little colored halo. I found that when I used the actual piece on its own, it was just a little too white, a little too stark of a difference. So I used the garden green for this one. But for this card, I am using a couple of different things. So first things first, one of the things I love about Stampin' Up! Is that it does tell you the coordinating colors in our paper. And one of the colors in this paper is, you can kind of tell here in this sort of more orangey color, is Terracotta Tile. And it's this one right here. It's an in color for 2019 to 2021. And I thought, you know what, let's use that one because it's a little non-traditional and I like that. So I found in my sheets of paper, I thought, well, let's use this one. This is a fun little pattern. I'm going to use the ice cream cone builder punch for this one using, let's try not to blind you, the ice cream little scoop there as well as the cone for essentially, I'm going to replace the strawberries. I'm probably going to punch enough that if I want to use 4, I can, though once I start assembling the card, I haven't made this ahead of time, I may only use 2. We'll see. So let's go ahead and find out the colors I'm using. Terracotta Tile, Blackberry Bliss, Bermuda Bay, Soft Seafoam, and Cinnamon Cider. These are the colors in the paper, so I'm trying to keep that consistent. And so as for the sentiment, we'll take a look and see which one fits best in the punch once that helps. I'm leaning at the moment, maybe, well, You Melt My Heart's kind of small, but if I added the, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. See, and the thank you would be a little too big. Treat Yourself might work. We'll see. We'll play around with that once we get there. And I can always use a different stamp, a different punch as well. So let's go ahead and get started. So first things first, let me tell you your dimensions for your pieces. They're pretty straightforward here. This one's a little bit different. You have to have a piece here that is 1 7/8 by that's 1 7/8. Oh, it's been a long day. By 5 1/4. So 1 7/8, just shy of 2 inches by 5 1/4, and that will fit on this panel right here. So let me show you what I did. It wasn't anything mind-blowing, so if it looks a little scary, I took a card base, right? I had my card base pre-made. I scored it, but I took it to my paper trimmer and I trimmed it right here at half of 4 1/4, which is 2 1/8. So I took it to my paper trimmer and I just trimmed it right there. So let me show you what that looks like. Let's make another base here. Got my paper handy. Here we go. So here's the other base. So what I did, let me move my ink here. So I found my line. This is my score line. I made sure that my cutting blade is there. Well, there's my 2 inch. I need 2 1/8, which is essentially 2 little tick marks away. And you'll notice that you can actually see your score line here. And on your paper trimmer, there's like a little line right here. And if you take it to that spot where it overlaps, sorry if you see my big old head, there you go, you will actually find, well, there you go. You just made 2 little flaps, right? Beautiful, useful. But now what you need to do is line it up here and do the same thing, but obviously at the 5 1/2, and you can confirm that. Sometimes the light's a little bit much. And you'll do that down to the 2 1/4. And if you're worried about it going a little too long, you could always cut that one with scissors. Like you can use your paper snips for that one. And there you go. You've got your card base right there and ready to go. And this piece is extra. You can use it for an embellishment. You can use it for die cuts. You can use it for backings, or you can emboss it and add it to another card, right? There's a lot of options for what you could do with it. So so like I said, we've got this piece 1 7/8 by 5 1/4. This piece, you actually need to make it a little bit longer. So this is actually 2 1/8 by 5 1/4, because you kind of want this paper to kind of go right underneath this line, and then you want this one to, oh, is this not the right size? Huh, that one's not the right size. I'll have to cut it down. So this one's supposed to be a little bit smaller. So I thought I'd picked, did I hide it somewhere else? That's probably what happened. It probably got moved. So this one was 2 1/8, but you actually need it to be 1 7/8, like the piece on the front. Because what happens is they end up butting up to each other and have a much better, a lot cleaner of a look. See, that's nice. So let's go ahead, let's adhere all these pieces before we start stamping, just because it'll be a lot easier. Sorry, I'm just using my ATG gun for now, but I will switch to my Tombow because it's a little bit cleaner for this. So for this one, it's double-sided, so I'm actually going to use that. It's a little heavy-handed. There we go. Okay. Cap it. And make sure you put it on the right way. Alrighty, so then you just line it up and adhere it down. If you're a little too heavy-handed with your glue, it might kind of squish up in between your lines here, and you do want to make sure that you get it dry before you fold it, just in case that you actually have some that'll get picked up. I also have this little gum eraser. It kind of helps collect any the remaining stickiness that may have been left behind. You can actually get these in a fair number of stores. Stampin' Up! Doesn't carry them, but I'm hoping they will eventually. But this will last you a really long time. So once you do get your hands on it, it'll be solid. And then we'll go ahead and adhere that to the back side. And then we're ready to get our stamping on. You could also stamp on the inside on this blank piece, but I thought since I'm already cutting down the amount of space I could write something for, a friend or a family member or something, I thought, well, let's leave that one blank so I can write a nice message. Even if it's just, happy birthday. I'm sure most people would like that. So we need our Stampin' Pierce mat for this card. That is because this stamp set is in fact a photopolymer stamp set. So you may recall that means that you need a little extra cushion underneath to make sure your stamps really have a good look. So I haven't actually played with these yet, so this is fun. I like kind of breaking in my new set of stamps. So I'm going to put my cone there. My ice cream ball here, and you can also use, in case you've noticed, let me see here if they'll fit on these blocks, so you can actually fit these little guys to add a little embellishment on top of that, essentially a little design flair. So I will use, let's use the polka dots, kind of go with the theme of the paper. Well, no, the paper had the, no, you're right, I'm right, we're right. Upon reflection, let's use the sprinkles because it ties it into the sprinkles on the card. So there we go. So, I don't need the little one. We'll come up to a sentiment later. So the other thing to note right here is that notice that this is all on one side. So I kind of want to stamp my ice cream cones all on one side, and I kind of want to stamp all of my ice cream scoops this way, going that way. So that's what I'm going to do, and I intentionally picked out all of these colors because I thought I would have them one of each, and then I'd kind of play around to see how I like them. So first things first, I wanted to stamp my cones because I figured those will be pretty obvious in terms of how I like them, and make sure that they are up to my standards. You know, make sure I get it done the way I like. So let me open this. This is one of those where like I should clean up before I start crafting, and sometimes I don't, and I feel like I pay for it dearly afterwards. I used just a piece of scratch paper underneath just because my space was a little messy, and here's what's happening. First things first, because I am going to add this little embellishment on top, the little crisscross, I want to stamp off. I don't want to do it full strength because the detail will kind of get lost a little bit. So if you remember from my punch, it's this way, so I want to make sure I stamp it this way, like that. And I want to make sure I punch out 4 of them, so I do want to make sure I'm a little conservative with my space and see if I can get 4. I'll switch the other one to go the other direction, and I'll just trim it. And there we go. So there's that. So now I'll take this stamp and I'll stamp it full strength. There we go. I love this set. This used to be, they used to have an ice cream set a little while ago, but it was a bunch of dies, and it was one of those where like they looked always super cute when you were done with it, but it took so long to get those cards made. Okay, so micro tip for you. When stamping and cleaning your stamp in between each set, still go, even if you are sure that your stamps are super duper clean, still go in increasing darkness in terms of color. So I'm going to start with my soft seafoam first, and same thing, because I'm going to use my my sprinkles on top, and I'm going to keep them all the same color. I'm actually going to stamp off. Oh, actually no, soft seafoam, I might have to, well, let's try it. Oh no, soft seafoam is far too soft. Okay, let's try that full strength. Maybe soft seafoam will just not have a, oh wait, and that's right, I have to make it go this way. Maybe soft seafoam will just not have sprinkles. That'll be, I can try it on top. Let's find out. Let's find out together. And I could always try it with like a different color. Oh no, that looks great. Okay, so there's that one. Now my next darkest color is probably Bermuda Bay. So that now I can kind of take this, give it a little washing, and then we're good to go to move on to the next color. There we go. Oh, I think my Bermuda Bay is a little dry. This will be fine. There we go. Yeah, that one didn't need to be stamped off either. There we go. A good stamper would have cleaned that off, but I'm not always a good stamper. Okay, and I'm going to keep Blackberry Bliss for last. I'm going to do Terracotta Tile next. And I'm going to wash that off. And, well, I might as well wash this one off while I pick it up. And sprinkles. There we go. Okay, Terracotta Tile. Note of warning, your reds are almost always going to stain. It is not some kind of defect on their part. It is just likely to stain. So just fair warning. The way to kind of help that is that as soon as you're done, wipe it off. It does help lessen it a little bit. Another way to do it is sometimes to use, oh wait, I can't put that away yet. Another way to do it sometimes is to ink up with Versamark ink first. I found that to be helpful as well. It does, however, though, make your ink pad very juicy, or not your ink pad, your stamped ink image very juicy, which means it will take a little bit longer to dry. So you do want to be careful of that. Okay, so now we've got Blackberry Bliss, and this is usually a really dark color. So I think I'm going to stamp off first. And this one doesn't fit there, so let's just make it fit over here. Oh, and see, I think that might be a little too light. So let's try full strength, and then worst case, we've got an extra that we're not using. There we go. And little sprinkles. There we go, and yeah, I kind of like the full strength. All right, so Let's go ahead, put those away. Blackberry Bliss will also stain because of the red in the color, hence why I used that one last, because I knew it would. And you can stamp off, and it looks like I still need a little bit over here. So once you have well stamped and well cleaned off images, you can then move on to punching them out. So let's go ahead and do that. And if you were to make, say, this card for like lots of people very quickly, you could definitely assembly line that, right? So like cut all your bases, cut all your cardstock pieces, and then move on into stamping everything, and then going ahead and moving on to the punching everything, right? You could easily assembly line this. Let me use my snips. Whenever you do this where they're not intentionally lined up, I will try to stamp them in the same row, so that way I'm not wasting a bunch of paper because I had it, you know, that happened to overlap. And then you can just trim. And next. There we go. And last one. Come on. Come on. Gotta coax it into that little corner. Okay. Come on. Okay, sorry about that. Technical difficulties. There we go. Look at me using my nails. Boop. All right. So there we go. That wasn't excruciating or anything. Now we'll do the same thing, but with our little ice cream scoops. So I'm just gonna, oh, that one's not, doesn't want to go through that way. All right. Some punches are going to be way more forgiving than others, so just, you know, be forewarned. All right. So we got the terracotta tile. Boop. And Bermuda Bay. And, oh, come on now. It's got a little bit of a, there we go. And then our soft seafoam. So for soft seafoam, unfortunately, it's kind of on the end here. So what I usually do is I just attach it to a Post-it note and just slide it through with the help of that Post-it note, which is what I should have done with that ice cream cone earlier. And there we go. Oh, did I just... Oh, that got a little stuck. There we go. This, I haven't used it yet, so sometimes they're a little stiff. All right, so there's 3. Let's get this last guy here. And I cannot get it in that way. Okay, so let's do it this way. Let's just do this one. Oh, oh no, the other way. I am in need of some R&R. Okay. There we go. And pop. There we go. So now you just take this little piece off, and then you are ready to assemble. So, whoops. Let's go ahead and do that. All I did was add like a little glue dot right there at the very bottom of my ice cream scoops, because you really don't need much. You're going to adhere it mostly through the cone base anyway, so you really just need to adhere the top 2 pieces kind of gently. And you can use some Tombow as well. That would be a fine choice. I thought since I had these handy, I should just use that. So let's go ahead. And when I can, I do try to assembly line things. So notice I'm removing the backings on all of these instead of adhering all of them all at once. Or I mean one at a time. There we go. So then I can just do, there we go. 1, 2, and 3. And what's fun is that you can actually make your ice cream cones multi-scoopered. you know, make lots of ice cream scoops on top of one another if you'd like. That's definitely a thing I would probably do if I was in my, ooh, okay, so 4 might work, but then if I have this guy on top, well, I think it might just work. And I could probably use, if I swap these two, I could also use my Terracotta tile ink pad to tie in the card base with this. So let's get Terracotta tile back here and let's pick our sentiment. I think we're gonna do the treat yourself. Or, well, let's see, let's find out. You Melt My Heart is gonna fit really smoothly. Treat yourself would be a little small. Let's try that one. You Melt My Heart. All right. I always like it when the sentiments are tied into the theme of the actual stamp set. Okay, so where did there's my paper piercer. So there's that. I'll put that right in the middle. Ink it up and stamp. There we go. So now I need my ink dauber here. And I don't know if I have one specifically for terracotta tile. So this one that hasn't been used in a while, it will be perfect. Because I think it'll be unused. Yeah, all dry. So just dab, dab, dab. Got a little ink on there. And you take it and you just go. And then you kind of let it overhang as much as you want in terms of a border. So if you wanted just the tiniest of ink, you would intentionally make it, kind of keep it close. But if you wanted it, like in my case, I do want it to kind of go in a little bit to make make it not so noticeable that my sentiment is so small compared to my big old stamped image. So there's that. There we go, and there we go. Oop. Cute. So there we go. Look at that. So with that, I think we are at the assembly point of this card, and I think that means we're almost done. Okay, so, oops. All right. So I think I will do what I had done over here, where it'll do 1 and then 2, and I'll put them on top of each other. So I will add a little Tombow, and because I know that this guy's going to go down a little bit, I'm going to put just like a tiny dab of the glue on this ice cream ball here. Just because then that way it's less likely to kind of wiggle either in transit or in kind of any sort of like jostling of the card. And before I do the next one, I am going to glue this guy down so that it's as parallel as possible, so that way I can make it pretty symmetrical, because the eye will totally notice if it's not. So we'll do the same thing here, but I actually had like pulled it up a little bit, but you don't want to pull it up too much. So there you go. So that'll be good. So I'm just doing it at the bottom half of this little triangle piece, and I guess I could do a little bit over here where it'll attach to the other one. And you can do, you know, take your own path when you're doing these too. Like you could have added multiple scoops. You could have only done one large ice cream over here if you wanted. Like there's a lot of individuality options here. So there's that. Got that and that. Looking good. And the way you can check is make sure that there's no glue showing on this side. And now this guy here, what I actually did on my card here, which I don't know if you noticed, I actually popped it up, but I put dimensions obviously only on the bottom side. So that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to just pop it up on the bottom. So, and if you're worried about like maybe the paper being a little too soft, or maybe you're worried that it might not hold up in postage, then feel free to like punch out a second piece of this and like glue them together if you wanted, right? Like add a little dimension. You could even have used a piece of cardstock that's the same color, and this one you really want to make sure not to have it go over, so right about there. Okay, so before you actually push it down, check to make sure it doesn't show up. Make sure your card's mostly middled, centered. I mean, mine was actually just like a hair off from being fully centered last time. So before I push this down, I'm actually going to use a ruler to kind of gauge for how close. 1 and just a little over an inch, half an inch. And this one is 1 and just over a little. Oh man, it's like I've learned from my mistakes, guys. And there we go. So that is the card. I've made one with this beautiful sweet ice cream bundle and one with the sweet strawberries bundle. So the papers are interchangeable for both of these. You could have punched out strawberries but had a different background. You could punch out anything really. These could be the flowers. These could be anything. So super. Oh, these could even be like the little whales from our whale punch. How cute. Maybe I will do that because I could easily reverse them. Fun. So if you liked these, I'll have everything that I used linked below on how to make them. If you need your with any kind of help with obtaining these materials, let me know and I will gladly assist you. If you are interested in subscribing to my channel so that you can know the next time I post videos, go ahead and do that. There's a subscribe button below, and be on the lookout for my giveaways. I am having a couple of giveaways coming up soon, so be on the lookout for those. And if you've got anything that I can help you with, get in touch. I'll see you in the next video. Bye!